Boom, 4 days late, we're back to the party. Tyson Popplestone here. This is the Pop Culture Podcast, and I would like to formally apologise about the fact that we're 4 days late. 4 days late is significantly late, but please let me explain what it is that's happened. Let me explain why it is that I've been so out of action. The Popplestone household has been ravaged this week, absolutely ravished by a severe disease known as coronavirus. We are lucky to both be here, both my wife, my little boy, and myself. It's been a disgusting week in the Popplestone household, and the reason for us being 4 days late for the start of this show is because the only way I can record a podcast in this household with an 18-month-old son is when my wife and my little boy leave. If they're in this house, it's not happening. There's too much screaming, too much yelling, too much, I was going to say abuse. That's not true. We'd get arrested for making those kind of jokes. There's no abuse going on from parent to child, but plenty from child to parent. Our son doesn't understand yet that it's rude to punch your parents, it's rude to bite, it's rude to kick, and it's rude. It's actually also probably a sign it's time to get a little bit more strict with his with the consequences to his actions. Because if you've got an 18-month-old who's got no qualms biting you on the nipple in public, it's a sign that both you and your son have, issues that need to be dealt with, especially when you're cheering. You know what I mean? When he's really crunching down on your nipple, you're like, yeah, good, but I like the feel of it, because you're trying to do reverse psychology. Your wife's just sitting there going, you know what? I wish I never married you. I'm saying, sweetie, it hurts me. It hurts me a lot when you say that. Do you know what I mean? I saw the offers that you had coming in. I saw the other men who were interested. The only reason she was interested in me was because about 4 people. Now, this isn't bragging. This is just honest. This is just truth. About 4 people in our friendship group all had a crush on me. Jessie was the only one who wasn't interested. So a little bit of social pressure, I think, was the reason that her and I got married, which, as they say, don't get married for social pressure, because eventually that social pressure will dissipate and you'll be stuck with the man with which you were pressured into marrying. It's a quote I heard a long time ago, and I can't quite remember who it was that told me that, but that was the truth. Hey, the social pressure got her. 3 girls and a guy had a crush on me, all wanted to go out, and she said, oh, well, maybe I am interested, because truth was, I'd asked her out about 12 months earlier, and she said, look, you're not the kind of man I'm looking for. In fact, no part of you is what I want in a man. You're not that funny, you're not that handsome, you're not a musician, and, the size of your nipples are questionable. They've only grown due to the swelling of my boy's strong teeth and weird fascination with my nipples. I knew I shouldn't have breastfed him that night. In the first night he was born, Jessie said, hey, it'd be funny if you put him up to your chest and he tried to drink. I said, that would be funny, so let me do it. And he did it. And ever since that point, there's been a strange kind of, there's just been an element of tension in our relationship, which probably didn't need to be there had I not breastfed my own son. But that's the world we're living in these days. You can't ask questions about that. You can't say anything like that. Apple have released a pregnant man emoji, so I'm sure it's only a couple of months until they release the breastfeeding man emoji. And to that I say, I beat you to it. I beat you to it. My nipples have got the scars to prove it. And so the Popplestone household has been ravished with COVID, but they've made a full recovery. Jessie's out of the house now. They've gone down to the toy library, because no one in their right mind should be buying their kid a toy based on the fact that an 18-month-old doesn't really know what it is they like. My kid's gone through a phase where he likes climbing towers, he likes blocks, and he likes watching YouTube videos of helicopters. So, to go out and to assume you know your son well enough to buy him a toy that he's going to have until the age of 7 is a ridiculous decision. So we go down to the toy library. We let his enthusiasm and his interest dictate what it is that we bring home for him. And, last week he brought home a pretty little 5-year-old girl. That's ridiculous. We haven't been there for a little while, but I got whacked with COVID. Oh my gosh, I was an embarrassment. I have to confess, because I've been a pretty harsh judge of the COVID thing. Well, in fairness, I got whacked for 1 day. Day 2, I was back working out, because that's just the kind of guy I am. But let me just tell you about day 1. Day 1 was the last time we recorded a podcast together. It's Wednesday today, so this is going back to last Monday. So about, 10 days ago, I finished a run in the middle of the day. I got home from my run. It was about 31 degrees. The sun was shining. And I went for 6.2K was the run. And it wasn't, I was averaging 450k pace. So for Popplestone speed, wasn't anything too crazy. But it was a nice run. But I finished and I thought, oh, gee, it was one where I felt as though I worked harder than I actually did. I remember I got to the finish line and I was like, I really hope my clock says that was about 430 per K or 440 per K, because if it wasn't, I'm in a pickle. And the truth was it was 453. And I thought, oh, that heat's got to me. That's as far as my mind went. I wasn't thinking COVID, because in the distance running scene or in the workout scene, quite often you'll have days like that where you'll finish a run, and then for whatever reason you feel as though you pushed it a little harder than you need to, and that's what happened. And then I came into this room and I said to you as a joke on the podcast last week that it was hot in here. It's hot here today as well, actually. Need an aircon or something. But I came in, I said, man, if there was any COVID on my body before this podcast started, by the time this hour's up, this podcast is over, that COVID will have dissipated. It would have melted away. It would have just sweated onto the floor of this little studio. And that's what I genuinely thought was going to happen. But truth be told, I hit stop at the end of this podcast last week, and I was in a world of hurt. I thought, all right, because I was supposed to be going down to tell some funny jokes in Melbourne. So I thought, am I going to go? I thought, you know what, like a couple of hours in the car on the way down, it'll probably do me good. I feel pretty relaxed. I feel pretty, I'll be ready to get there. I'll be ready to get into it once I get there. And so I got there, and the show started at 8:30. I got there about 7:45. I got there, and some of my good comedy mates were there. So I went up and started having a little bit of a chat. And this is usually the favourite part of the comedy. Me and Eli went and got a coconut water at Coles. I walked back, smashed it, a litre down. I thought, that's going to help. Started having a conversation. It was 15:15. The show started in 15 minutes. I wasn't up until 5th. And so I said to the guys, oh yeah, I'm going to have to go have a power nap. I'm going to have to have a little rest in the car. I went back to the car feeling a bit achy, was not feeling like going to tell any funny jokes. And so I shut my eyes for 15 minutes, not feeling great. Went back to Funny Near the Brunny is what it's called, and sat at the back of the room. I was up 5th, and I couldn't remember what it was I was trying to say. I had my jokes written down, and for whatever reason, my brain just didn't want to register what jokes they were. So I got up on stage, and it was like it was a bomb, that's for sure. But it was a bomb. It was a bomb with a couple of laughs sprinkled in, but it was just it was a painful experience. The run I did last week and the set that I did last week was probably about the equivalent. I mean, we got through it, but it could have been better. It definitely didn't help at the end, like where I was trying to walk back to the car. And actually, I was walking off stage, and one of my mates goes, oof, that was a rough one, Tice. I said, hey, you know what? I thought it could have been the COVID. Or I thought it could have been the fact I was feeling sick that made me think I didn't do as well. But the truth was, it was a rubbish performance. Is what Billy Stiles told me. It's the second time I've bombed in front of Billy Stiles as well, and he's a respected comedian here in Melbourne. You want to be a good comedian, you got to get Billy Stiles on side. He's on side, as in he's my friend, but that's the second time I reckon it was my second biggest bomb, and he's witnessed both of them. The first one, he came to me and he goes, "Oh, dude, that's going to hurt in the morning." The second one, he didn't quite say that, but he may as well have. So I got home, and then as soon as I was in the car on the way home, I was achy. I was painting. I had a little scratch in the back of my throat. I googled COVID symptoms just to double check, and I thought, all right, let's see how this plays out. Then Tuesday, got up, did my rat test. The 2 lines came up quicker than they should have. It was a real strong positive, and anyway, I could not move. I had fevers. I had the shakes. The bed was covered in sweat, and I haven't been vaccinated because I've been one of those guys that the whole way through have thought, oh well, I've got an exemption, no need to get vaccinated. I'm just a tough 34-year-old dude with fitness on fitness, green smoothies to boot, and I don't even know what that means, green smoothies to boot. I'm not sure that sentence even fits just there, but I thought I won't even know that I have COVID. I just assumed I'd already had it. Anyway, laying in bed last Tuesday, I thought, oh no. 100% I'm going to be that guy who dies of this thing, and then all my mates are going to piss themselves laughing. And not just my mates, but the people who know that I haven't been vaccinated. The people who are going to give me a hard time about not getting vaccinated. Especially the people who have been telling me for ages that I should have been vaccinated. And because I knew I was in a sticky situation, because truth was, I tried to message a couple of mates to go, all right, guys, look, really tough situation, really something I need to, just open up with you about. I've been smacked with COVID, so if you could keep me in your prayers. All my mates just wrote back like, ha 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 ha. Suck on that. Enjoy the afterlife. A couple of my mates called me bitches. I'm not. They, it's probably says more about my friendship group than it says about me, I think. But that was the kind of treatment that I received, and then I think I told you about the naturopath mate that I met on a beach a couple of weeks ago. He goes, dude, if you get COVID, let me know, because I got all the stuff that you need. So he hooked me up. He had ivermectin, which I know is still a little bit suspect. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if there's any consensus as to whether that's any good for you yet. Had quercetin. Quercetin was, I think quercetin is it's like a zinc product, which is maybe combined with a couple of other ingredients, and it's supposed to just like rejuvenate the cells that COVID attaches to. So I had this quercetin with, I think it was with vitamin C, and then I had this really pungent vitamin C. It was like a straight vitamin C stuff, and then a vitamin D. So I was taking this concoction, and then Tuesday or the day after, Wednesday, mate, I was back. I was 100% back. I got so arrogant. I was working out day 5. My rule was everyone's allowed to post on social media about how much they struggled and how important it is to get vaccinated. I thought, all right, I'm allowed to just share the other side of the story. I'm allowed to say how easy it was. Because that should be fair. Like, you shouldn't just be able to brag about how hard you're doing it. You should be able to brag about how easy you're doing it. So I posted a video of me doing dips over at the local park on day 5. A lot of people saying I should have still been isolating, but I live in Queenscliff, which is, it's the most highly vaccinated place in Australia, but also, the density of people around this area, there's not many. So you go down to a park, there's never anyone there. So for all you haters who are saying I should have been isolating, I was isolating at the park doing dips. Triceps looked fantastic. The arrogance, as soon as the arrogance started to creep back in, as soon as the confidence in my ability to do dips started to sneak back in, I thought, all right, I'm back. And so Jessie got it. She tested positive. I think she just got the positive result back a couple of days ago. I can't remember exactly the details. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is we're back in the Popplestone household. My 18-month-old boy's got it. He's still strutting around the house like a little legend. So don't mess with the Popplestones. The naturopath has healed me. I thought I'd made a real big... those kind of people where you meet them in a particular situation. I met these guys at the beach last week and thought we immediately hit it off. And then I saw the wife of the guy that I met last week yesterday, and I said, hey, Lucy, great to see you. She's like, dude, I completely forgot your name. I said, well, this is humbling. Humbling experience. You registered a place in both my mind and my heart, and here I am, you can't even remember my name. I thought I was looking good that day as well, which is, I don't know. It's just the way things are. I don't know. I've grown this mustache and a little bit of a goatee, which this light is bringing out to, just to hopefully try and show you that, hey, this is what a man looks like. I thought she would have recognised that. But there's certain situations in your week, I think, where you realise you probably still got some work to do on the manliness front. So as I've told you before, our house is here, and then we have a road next to our house, and then we have bushland, and then we have beach. And then yesterday I had a knock at our front door. A little old lady. She wasn't little or that old really. I can't say that because she's probably my mum's age, and my mum wouldn't be happy with that description. She came and knocked on my door and she said, "Hey, sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to know if you have a shovel." I said, "Oh, why is that?" She's like, "Oh, a snake's just been run over on the road out the front. I just wanted to go kill the snake, chop its head off, unless you just want to do it." And I said, "Look, I really appreciate you coming to the door. But first of all, I don't have a shovel. What am I? This is a rental. I shouldn't be digging holes in this property." She goes, "You don't look like the kind of guy who would own a shovel." I said, "Well, it's very hurtful and very honest all at once. So I'm not sure how I feel about you telling me that information." She goes, "No, you just, you look like you probably enjoy a cocktail more than a hole digging sort of setup." I said, "Okay, you know what? Like, don't come knocking on my door and telling me about how much of a man I don't look like." I said, "Look, I don't have a shovel. She goes, have you got a big stick or something? I said, oh, have I ever? No, I didn't say that at all, because that would have been sexual assault. But we do have like a massive pile of sticks in our backyard, so I went and got like this log, and I gave it to her, and I was like, I can't let this bloody 70-year-old lady go out and have to whack a snake across the head, because it was I think it's called a copperhead python. She goes, yeah, mate, I grew up on a farm, and I can tell you these ones, they pack a punch, and if there's any life in this little bugger, even 24 hours later, you walk past it, that bite can still sting. And I said, well, honestly, I guess it's important that we take care of it then. So she goes, all right, well, if you don't want to do it, I'll go do it. I said, no, well, look, pass me the stick. I've got a car in my driveway. Now, this snake was stuck in the middle of the road. Poor bugger. The back half of its body was stuck on the road. The front half of its body was like, I'm going to the backyard. I don't care how I get there. He didn't quite realise that it was his kidneys or whatever that had kept him stuck to the road. And, credit to him, the discipline that I saw in his eyes to keep fighting. He had that fighting spirit. He knew he was a copperhead. He knew he had places to be. But it was just hard to. You couldn't explain to him, firstly, because he was a snake, but secondly, because it was an animal. I guess you can't really explain with any sense to an animal that you're not going to be able to get where you're going because your intestines have got you stuck to a road and you've been run over by a car. So this tough little bugger, I went and got my car keys, got my Nissan Pulsar 2015, and lined him up. Got the front right wheel over his head, round 1, the front right wheel over his body, round 2. I looked across, he's still swinging. He didn't care. I saw a cat years ago that had just been hit by a car, and anyway, I looked in the rear view mirror and I was like, oh no, because as I looked in the rear view mirror, I saw this cat. It was trying to lift its head. It was doing the same thing that this snake was doing. It was going, look, I'm not done with life just yet. I had whiskies or whiskers or whatever that cat food is in a bowl at home ready for me to consume. And anyway, I looked in the rear view mirror. The cat was lifting its head as if to say, I'm coming home. Don't give up on me. But the poor bugger, he was going nowhere. So I had to do a U-turn and I ran over the cat as well. So me and cars, I'm a vegetarian guy, but me and cars and animals, we've got an interesting reputation. This cat, I'm sure it had been run over. I often do think that to be quite truthful. I think, crap, what if it was just asleep and I looked back and it had just woken up? And then, see, I'd made up this storyline in my mind about what had happened to the cat. In my storyline, in my brain, it had been run over, it was in agony, and it had to be put out of its misery. Truth is, it might have fallen to sleep, not sure why it was on the road if it had just woken up. I'd seen it wake up in the rear view mirror, turned around, ran over an innocent cat. That could have been what happened. I'm not sure. I'm not that much of a cat fan, to be honest, so I don't really care. But snakes, even more so. You're nervous about an animal like a snake. Because yesterday, I was nervous to go and drive my car over it. I was thinking, oh no, what if he jumps up and tucks behind a wheel? And, I open the door in the morning, he bites me on the knob, and it's just embarrassing. So I ran over him, heard it pop, saw the farm lady give me she gave me like a fist pump, which I thought, we just killed an innocent animal that had been through a tragic end to its life. So I thought it was probably a little bit harsh for her to give me a fist pump, but we took it out of its misery, and I went and showed my boy the results, took him outside, both him and I, we were both just wearing shorts, no shoes. I walked over, he was gone, the little copperhead. My boy's giving me a high five. Kids don't care. Kids don't fully appreciate the pain that an animal's just gone through. I was, I was thinking about his kids. I was thinking about where he was off to. The lady said to me, who pulled over to ask if we had a shovel, that he was probably on his way into my backyard anyway and would have attacked my kid. My kid was just playing with his little outdoor ball set. And so that's how I let my mind rest. But hey, rest in peace, little python snake. He's looking worse for wear today as well. He's just, when a snake gets run over so much, it just looks like carpet. It looks like a little strip of carpet out in our front road as well. So, I don't know. It's me and wildlife. We have an interesting relationship because there's no place in my life where I'm happy to see a snake. Especially like that. I don't want to be responsible for making sure the snake's out of its misery. I don't want to be responsible for making sure it doesn't attack anyone. I just want the rule is I want that snake to stay where it is and not come anywhere near, 2022 Popplestone family household because, someone's going to get hurt and someone's going to get embarrassed. And truthfully, both of those people are probably going to be me. I had to show you an example of my exposure to the world of wildlife. So my brother-in-law, Sammy, he came over to Australia from America about 4 years ago. He's a hunter. And when he came over, he had this, I don't know what it's called, but essentially it's this little device and you can set it to sound like a struggling animal. So from a distance, it's sort of like... So it's sort of, I don't know what that animal was, but say that was a struggling bird. Apparently when you're out in the wildlife, you put that in a certain place, that'll draw out like a coyote because they want to come and attack it. And then when the coyote comes out, you shoot the coyote and they're breakfast, lunch and dinner for your whole family for a couple of weeks. So he came to our place. We're living in suburban Melbourne. So there was no animal that when struggles make that noise. And about 10:30 one night from our front yard, I heard that sound, that... And I thought, I'll just ignore it because if I ignore it, maybe it'll stop. And I didn't want to see any injured animal to start with. So I was thinking, I don't even want to be a part of this bloody situation. But he came up and knocked on my door and it's like, dude, what is that? Like, that's terrifying. What do I do? I said, mate, I have no idea. I'm standing here in a matching pajama outfit. I've got matching blue pants with a matching, what is it in pajama land? Is it a blazer? There was too much sequence going on for the fact that I was going to bed anyway. But what I was wearing, it screamed that there hadn't been a whole heap of exposure to the wilderness over the last few years. And he came up, and in hindsight, I could tell he was taking the piss. But he was asking me, he's like, dude, can you go look under the car, look in the tree? So we were out the front. And this thing's so loud, 10:30 at night. The neighbours are out. We're all freaking out. And then after about 20 minutes, he must have got bored and he's like, suck on that, everyone in Hampden Park. That's where we were living at the time. Suck on that, you guys are idiots. I can't believe you all fell for it. Look, it's this. It's this stupid device that brings suckers like you out of the wilderness. And, everyone on the street was like, dude, it's a Tuesday night, mate. Like, we're just trying to go to bed. I was there almost in tears, trying to hold back tears because I was just so embarrassed about the fact I'd made such a bitch of myself. I ran inside to make myself a cup of tea just to calm down because I was out of my natural state. There's certain things when you're outside your natural state, it makes you, it makes you aware of how much of a bitch, you could be perceived as being. And that was one of those situations. I was perceived as being a bitch. Like when I start sort of crying when the turbulence on a plane kicks in too hard, too quick. I don't mind a little bit of turbulence, but if I'm in the middle of a conversation, the plane starts shaking. Tears are gonna come. They're gonna flow, and the person that I'm trying to hold a conversation with is gonna know that, there's elements of my ability to withhold emotion from public view when I'm on a flight that needs to be addressed. And that's just where we're at. That's where I'm at as a man. So Carl Jung, help me out. Jordan Peterson, help me out. Not 100% sure what to make of that. I don't know. Are you even allowed to talk about Jordan Peterson anymore? I saw the other day Ethan Klein. There's a bloke. Have you heard of Ethan Klein? He's got a podcast called H3H3. He used to be a gun. He used to be awesome. I really liked it. He had two awesome interviews with Jordan Peterson. And then for whatever reason, I'm not sure what happened, he turned into a full-blown lefty. Is the only way I can perceive it. The only way I can sort of understand what's happened. And he's just become opposed to everything that Jordan Peterson stands for. And as a result, he deleted the 2 Jordan Peterson podcasts off his page and then went on to get in a Twitter fight with Jordan Peterson, which was, I don't know, it's weird like that. It's weird when you see a person who used to make sense and good content turn into like a bitter, angry person who, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to make sense anymore. I don't know, though. But anyway, I'm going to keep listening to Jordan Peterson, but I'm sure he would have something to say about the fact that, my ability to navigate a world of wild animals is probably something that needs work, I think. I had a stingray swim past my feet the other day when I was over in the water, and I handled that pretty well. My mum was a little bit jumpy. I got stung by a blue... I think I told you guys this before. I got stung by a blue bottle jellyfish when I was 15. I sprinted up the beach screaming to the surf lifesavers because I thought it was a box jellyfish. And in Australia, a blue bottle jellyfish gives you a little sting. A box jellyfish, which is, I think it's also has blue in it. It can kill you. So I'd mistaken the two, and I thought I was seeing the light. I've never been so embarrassed to get to the lifesavers and then forget, dude, what are you so upset about? It doesn't sting that much. I go, no, but I'm just not ready yet. You know what I mean? I'm 15 years old. I've been stuck. I can't breathe. They go, dude, it's a blue bottle. It's not a box jellyfish. Your father said, well, tell me about blue bottles then. They said, well, what do you want to know, mate? Like, the pain will stop in about 30 seconds. I was like, yeah, but then what happened? Does it stop because my whole body's numb? Does it stop because it's the last moments of my life? They go, mate, no, it stops because it's not that painful. You're not in trouble. We had a 12-year-old up here just a couple of minutes ago who, he got stung by a blue bottle as well. He's fine. He's that kid laughing at you with his dad over there. So he's laughing. He finds death funny. They go, Tyus, breathe. You're not going to die, mate. Not from this. Not today. I said, well, why am I so short of breath? They said, you're having a panic attack. Well, give me CPR. They said, I'm not giving you CPR, mate. You just need to breathe. I said, I don't even know my name anymore. They said, it's Tyson. I said, I know, but I just don't feel like. Are you sure I'm fine? I said, you're fine, mate. It's okay, well, now I'm embarrassed. And then you have to walk back down to the beach. Everyone looking at you because you're at a public place. Everyone's looking at you like you're an embarrassment because you are. 12-year-old girls laughing at you. Your crush laughing at you. Me still sobbing a little bit going. Oh, it's weird when you reflect on the embarrassing moments in your life like that. I remember once I was in high school and I'd just gone to a girl's house who I liked and she was flirting with me and I didn't know. I couldn't read the signs and, physiologically, like every part of my body was ready for action. And fellas, you understand, don't you, that when you're withholding what your body wants to do from your body's ability to do it, things get stored up somewhere. And as a result, I got a classic case of blue balls. I didn't know what blue balls were. But I was staying at a friend's house that night. I went back to him. I said, dude, my balls feel very, very sore and very heavy. He's like, oh, dude, that's weird. He goes, I wish you didn't tell me that. I go, well, honestly, I didn't perceive your reaction to be as harsh as what it just was. And so now I wish I didn't tell you. I said, dude, I'm not 100% sure. I was 16 years old or something. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that I was in a whole heap of pain. I thought I just all of a sudden just spontaneously got testicular cancer. Testicular cancer. He goes, I'll take you to the hospital if you want, but that'd be embarrassing. So me and him, we got to the hospital. I'm not joking. We got to the waiting room and we saw this nurse who was an absolute babe. Like we were 15, 16. She must have been, 24 or whatever. So we were laughing, going, oh my gosh, imagine if she was the nurse and that had to check you out. And I said, oh yeah, lucky that won't be the case. Anyway, I'm not kidding. 15 minutes later, this beautiful, gorgeous glamour of a nurse came up and she came up to me and said, oh, hey, come on through, like, what's the problem? I said, oh, I've got sore testicles. It's so embarrassing. I got sore testicles. And she thought I was joking because she saw me and my mate laughing. She's like, look, I've only got an hour or so left of my shift. I kind of don't have time for this. I said, look, ma'am, I'm not joking. I've got very sore testicles. She goes, are you... Okay. And then it got more awkward because I thought, well, if the professional's looking at me like I'm some kind of freak, what am I supposed to do? And so she goes, all right, take your pants off. I started to get nervous like on a first date. I said, I haven't even bought you a drink yet. You say that kind of stuff just to make light of the situation. She goes, look, just take your pants off, mate. I said, I've never taken my pants off in front of a woman before. This is, she goes, look, this isn't a sexual thing. I'm a nurse. You're a 15-year-old boy with sore testicles. I'm here to check. And so my mate's in there. This nurse has my testicles in her right hand. She's asking me to cough. I'm laughing. And she's making eye contact with me and all this kind of stuff. I go, well, if you want me to be sensitive, you can't have my balls in your hand, making eye contact, asking me to cough. It's just an embarrassing situation. I don't know how to handle it. I'm a late starter in the sex game. And so the fact that my balls are in your hand, I don't know how to read this situation. You need to get a 55-year-old male to come and do this activity with me if we're going to take it seriously. She said, look, you've essentially, there's a little twist in your nuts. She did this little wiggle thing, which was, in all intents and purposes. I've said that twice today. I still don't know what it means. It was enjoyable. It was a little twist with the right hand. And, that was my favourite doctor visit is what I would say. It was also the most embarrassing one because Sam, my mate, we got back to school and he told everyone that I went to the doctor with blue balls, which, as a 16-year-old kid, you don't want people to find out. I told everyone at school I just picked up a hot nurse, and they said, oh, that's, the story that we heard was that you went to a nurse because you went to a girl's house, you didn't get what you wanted to get done. As a result, there was a whole heap of tension. You mistook it as testicular cancer. I said, well, who's telling you guys this story? Because it's bloody accurate. It's exactly what went through my mind, and now it's embarrassing. So for about 2 weeks at school, people were coming up and just blatantly asking how my testicles were, which as a way to get to know any person, is it? I mean, that's a strange conversation to have because you skip about 8 bases between hello and getting to that point. Still in my whole life, I don't think I've ever been up to a person and said, hey mate, how's your testicles? I think I have actually a couple times, but only like my really close friends, and only because I was trying to embarrass them about something. But anyway, that was the first and last time that happened. I went to a stomach. I got to stop using this line. I went to a doctor a few years ago because I had this stomach ulcer, and I had a couple of beers one night, which is rare for me. But I had a couple of beers because I was at a Bucks, and it triggered some sort of strange stress response in my gut, and I went to the hospital, and they just kept loading me up on morphine, which was super enjoyable. But one of the original tests that they had to do was put a finger in my asshole, and I don't know what it is about touching your body parts and asking you to cough, but I'm sure this nurse came up to me, had her finger in my ass, and asked me to cough, and just as she was lubing up her finger, about to put it in, I said, I can't believe we haven't even gone out for coffee. Like, this is Jessie and I have been married 10 years. I still panic when she does stuff like that, which mainly because she doesn't put gloves on. I go, that's unhygienic. You can't be doing that, sweetie, especially when I'm just trying to wash the dishes for you. She goes, oh, come on, don't be such a bitch. Live on the edge. I said, sweetie, it's not a bitch. You haven't cut your nails for a while. Our mirror's looking directly into the lounge room of our neighbours. Like, they can see what you're doing. She goes, oh, come on, let them live a little. Anyway, that says more about my wife than what it does about me. And the truth is, I've told you, whether that's true or not, she doesn't listen to the podcast, so I can get away with that. I can't figure out whether it looks too stripper vibey with this pink light in the background. I kind of like it. I think it looks pretty good. But it definitely screams, I don't know, it definitely screams a little bit of a stripper vibe. I was having a podcast. I was doing a conversation with someone on the podcast here the other day. Joseph Green, coming out tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. And the whole way through, I thought, is this inappropriate lighting? It's kind of mood lighting a little bit. I feel as though it might be a little bit inappropriate. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too far into it. I think it looks good though. This is the best setup we've had. Anyway, what did I have written down here that I wanted to talk to you about? Oh, we've got to talk about Joe Rogan. Oh, Joe. They're out to get him, aren't they? Bloody Spotify got himself in a pickle. It's hard to know how this one's going to work out well for Spotify, because regardless of which way you go, like how does it happen? Neil Young, I don't think it's a big deal that he left. Joni Mitchell, I don't think anyone realised she still is alive. They've both gone to Apple Music. I don't know how much attention they're bringing to the table of these other platforms, but surely that's not going to leave much of a dent. It's the subscribers of Spotify who are going to pull out, isn't it? So I feel like they're doomed if they do, they doomed if they don't, to steal a phrase from my great grandfather Poppy Reg. Doomed if they do, doomed if they don't, because Joe Rogan, he's surely you're going to struggle most if you get rid of Joe. Like, if you ask Joe to leave, then you're going to lose the likes of me, because I'm there for Joe. Joe's the guy who got me over there, and then it's been nice to see a couple of big Hollywood stars coming out and have his back. I was laughing the other day because The Rock came out, and I think The Rock's Joe Rogan's hero. So The Rock came out and essentially said, Joe, I got your back. And then someone said to The Rock, hey, he said the N-word 70 different times. Are you sure this is appropriate to be supporting him? And The Rock's like, oh, bugger, I didn't know that he said the N-word, though. So the cancel culture is a hard one to navigate, because if you come out just to support Joe about the man that he is, about how successful he is, about how much of a platform he's given so many people, that's all good. And then someone says, yeah, but he said the N-word 70 times. You go, oh, okay, well, how do I clarify that I was only standing up for him about the the stuff about him that I like and not the stuff about him that I didn't like. But then The Rock came out and said, okay, well, we've all got stuff to learn here a little bit, so I'm not 100% sure what's going on. Anyway, poor Joe, poor bastard must be stressed this week, wouldn't he? Like, I reckon it'd be a little bit of a stressful situation because I've been listening to Joe now for 7 years, never once heard him say the N-word, and no one cares about context. Look, I'm pretty sure, I've done no research into what I'm about to say, so I could be completely wrong. I'm pretty sure, not that it's an excuse, not that it makes it right. It does, however, change the conversation. If Joe was out there casually just using the N-word when he was referring to a person, like, surely that's a problem. But the N-word when you're just referring to what someone said, that's a different thing because you're not... Like, how do you have a conversation? You just keep saying the N-word. Because when I say N-word, we know exactly what word it is that I'm referring to when I say that. And I'm allowed to say that. You're allowed to say that because it's respectful. But it's only a matter of time till saying N-word is no longer respectful, isn't it? I remember my wife, she's a history teacher at school. And I remember, what was it? Yeah, like there was a stage when I was a kid, and if you said the word abo, like to refer to an Aboriginal, it was completely accepted. Like no one had a real problem with it. But then they took it a step further. It started to become Aboriginal. If you said Aboriginal, even that's disrespectful. Now you have to say Indigenous people, which is, I don't know. I mean, I'm happy to say whatever's respectful, but there seems to be no general consensus on what it is that the Indigenous people want to be called. And so my wife was talking about how she was teaching Aboriginal history because that was the name of the course when she was teaching it. And she was about to leave the school. She was given a bit of an overview on the course to the new teacher who came in. And apparently even saying Aboriginal history was unacceptable. This teacher was like, oh, look, I'm just going to stop you there. Unfortunately, we don't actually call it Aboriginal history anymore because that's highly offensive. It's Indigenous history. So I don't know. What I'm trying to say is I think the expectations of what is okay and what isn't okay, it constantly changes. So, look, I know the N-word's been out for a while, but what I'm trying to say is it doesn't stop at N-word. Like, surely there's going to be a time in my future where you're going to look back at this particular podcast and hear that I was saying simply N-word and have a go at me about that based on current standards. But here in 2022, I don't know what the current standards of wherever you are. So surely I can't be held accountable to those same standards, can I? I don't know. Anyway, so I saw Rumble, like a Canadian conservative platform, came out and they said, look, I think it's like a YouTube for conservative content creators, came out and said, Joe, we'll give you $100 million if you come over to our platform. We'll give you $100 million. Let me just read you this article. I'll see if I can find it. Rumble... Joe Rogan. Let me just read this to you, because Joe's getting $100 million offers everywhere just to go and to join other platforms. I've never been offered $100 million even once to go anywhere. I'm just waiting for this article to load. Time article. Oh, here we go. I'll see if this one loads a little bit quick. Oh, no, here we go. Time. Teal? I'm not sure if that's a teal-backed video platform. Rumble offers Joe Rogan $100 million to switch from Spotify business streaming. Sorry, bear with me here. All right. As the controversy surrounding Joe Rogan's Spotify relationship with as the controversy surrounding Spotify's relationship with podcast host Joe Rogan continues, Rumble has offered $100 million to bring the show, The Joe Rogan Experience, over to the free speech-centric video platform. Rumble CEO Chris Pavlovsky wrote an open letter posted on Twitter on Monday that he stands with Rogan, who has recently come under fire for spreading COVID-19 vaccine misinformation using racial slurs on the massively popular podcast. Look, here's the thing. The COVID-19 misinformation thing's an interesting one, isn't it? Because all he's doing is interviewing people. Like, sure, he's been a little more vocal about the fact that he's not vaccinated, which is, I mean, it's fine, isn't it? Like, surely anyway, we've been over that before. But the racial slurs is the new thing. But interesting, where's it going to stop? Because soon someone's going to come out and be like, Joe Rogan called me a tranny. He called me a tranny on episode 58 and he thought it was funny. And then Dave Chappelle came in on episode 1407 and he had a tranny joke as well. And I'm using I would never say tranny. That was just the word that they would be using if they were referring to it. Anyway, we stand with you, your guests, and legion of fans in desire for real conversation, Pavlovsky wrote. So we'd love to offer you 100 million reasons to make the world a better place. How about you bring all your shows to Rumble, both old, new, with no censorship. 100 million bucks over 4 years. It's our chance to save the world. And yes, this is totally legit. How does a company that I didn't even know the name of 2 weeks ago have $100 million to throw at a bloke like Joe Rogan? That's incredible, isn't it? Like, $100 million is a lot of cash. And the idea that a company that I've never even heard of has 100 mil just to throw out. Like, who's making this kind of... It's ridiculous. It's like, I got a good friend of mine, Jockam, best friend, actually. And he comes from a family where, they just got money left, right, and center. I heard a couple of numbers around his family business the other night. I thought, hang on a second. Like we're talking millions and millions of dollars. And his dad's just like a pretty casual dude. I always thought people with millions and millions of dollars were rocking around in Bugattis, but it turns out it's quite the opposite. I think most of your rich kind of people are, the vibe I get, from what I can tell, from Graham O'Connor, the bloke I'm talking about, Calcimo Lime. I mean, he does have a Bentley. He does have a Bentley. That probably gave it away. He's got a Bentley. Maybe they are rocking around. But does that blow your mind? Like, what is Rumble? I've honestly never even had that in my search browser before. I've never typed in Rumble to my Google before. And they got $100 spare million to give to Rogan. I'm not sure, because I don't know how long the Spotify deal was supposed to take place, but surely a bloke like Rogan gets upset with that, because if you're getting censored and you're getting, critiqued, and you're starting to feel as though you're going to get cancelled, well, sure, you got to go to Rumble. I'm going to contact Rumble, see if they're interested in Pop Culture Podcast, because I tell you what, we can't have this. We can't have the bitches running the world, is what I've always said. You could tell by how much I hesitated when I said bitches that it's not something I always say. I say that very rarely. But bitches has been on my mind a little bit this week. Have you seen, it's an awkward week to be Justin Trudeau. He's been getting called a bitch a little bit. Have you seen he's been getting called a bitch a little bit? Because the truckers are in Canada still doing their thing. They're going, hey, we're not moving. He goes, but you have to move. And they're like, yeah, but we're not going to. He goes, please, can you please move? Because there's so many trucks. What am I going to do? Like, what am I supposed to do with all the trucks? How's food and stuff going to go? I just want the vaccine mandate to stay, is what I want. I want the vaccine mandate to stay, but I also want all the truckers to go home. Because if you just do what I would like you to do, it'd just be easier for everyone, but mainly for me. And then, just conveniently enough, old mate gets COVID, or he's exposed to COVID, and he can't be seen in public for a week and a half. And I don't know. It's a tough week to be a candidate. It's a tough week to be a bloody... what do you call it? A politician. It's been a tough 18 months to be a politician. I've got no sympathy for him anymore, though. I'm a little bit over the whole politician scene. And I've also noticed there's been a what do you say? There's been a little bit of a sway in my music taste lately. Like the last 18 months, I reckon I've been a little more frustrated than I have usually, and a little weird music taste. Like this week, I found myself listening to a song by... Not a song. Smells Like Teen Spirit, the whole album by Kurt Cobain. It's like a dark album from 91, 92. It wasn't even that dark, really. It's just more grungy. And I thought, oh my gosh, like when I start listening to music like this, that's a pretty clear sign that I must be frustrated, isn't it? I don't know, maybe I just got some real punk kind of music taste that I hadn't known about for a little while. But Kurt Cobain's an interesting story. Have you noticed there's conspiracies attached to absolutely everything that anyone ever talks about? Like, you talk about COVID, they go, yeah, you know what was created by Bill Gates in actually 2015, so he can inject us with this secret messaging chip that connects us with Jupiter, and on Jupiter you can tell what my heartbeat is, and that's what Bill Gates wants. And you go, okay, well maybe there's like, it could be a little bit of truth to what you just said. I don't know 100%. I'm not 100% sure whether what you're going on about is true or not, but there's enough in there to make it sound true. And then people say Elvis is still alive, which I start getting excited about, because I always say I never had a chance to meet Elvis. But then the truth is, if he's still rocking and rolling, I go, yeah, no, what actually happened? So he was so famous that he pretended to die of a heart attack. But what he actually did, he went and moved to South America, just to a cabin. He moved to a cabin. And the cabin had 2 bedrooms, no Wi-Fi. because it's the 70s, even though the CIA, they knew about Wi-Fi back in the 70s. And he wanted to go and work on country music. And in fact, Keith Richards today was Elvis Presley 30 years ago. You go, wait, what? Are you sure? They go, bro, just wait. And it's always, conspiracies are funny as well, because it's always, you're always on the precipice of finding out what the truth is, but you never quite get there. You never quite get there. They always say, oh no, look, there's been a change. You don't have to believe what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that the original story I told you is not as accurate. I said, well, look, for the last 2 years, you've been telling me now that Donald Trump is the leader of the army, the military. He's actually still in control. And you've been telling me to look out for these little signs along the way. And the little signs along the way that you tell me to look out for have never come. And you say, no, there's been a delay with the paperwork. Now, like, the paperwork hasn't quite got through. It's just, if you're going to have a conspiracy theory, I feel like it's good, but you just have to have a little bit more that you can bring to the table. You have to have a little bit more to bring to the table to show me that what you've been telling me is still on the right track. Because otherwise, it's too hard to believe you. You have to be able to bring a little bit to the table. Mind you, I don't know, because a few months ago, I was laughing at this whole idea of chemtrails. People talking about how, you can manipulate weather, you can manipulate rain, you can manipulate all this stuff. And then, I did 2 Google searches and found some documents that made it so. I think actually the Australian website, or the Australian government website, might even have some pretty open information about how they can actually seed the clouds to produce rain. And I thought, wait, you're speaking about this so casually, like we all knew about it. This is news to me. I don't know. Is there anything that's big that doesn't have a conspiracy attached to it? Michael Jackson has conspiracies attached to us. Twin Towers, Marilyn Monroe, the JFK stuff, the moonwalking. Did I just say that? I'm not 100% sure. Like, I don't know. It's just, even if they're true, you just don't have the time in your day. You don't have the time in your week to be able to commit to all these conspiracy theories. You only have, I'm trying to learn how to day trade effectively. That's what I want to know. I want to know, how do I day trade effectively? And people say, dude, don't bother because the stock market's about to crash. Don't you know anything about fiat system? I go, what? Just stop. I do. Like, I know they used to measure the value of money off, like, real gold. Now they don't. Yeah, they go, yeah, bro, don't invest in the stock market because it's going to crash. You're going to lose all your money. JFK's still alive. Rest in peace, Michael Jackson. But he's still alive too. Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley. Woo! There's not enough time in the day to be able to go down all the rabbit holes of conspiracy theories, is what I'm trying to say. Because, look, I want to get good at comedy. You have to write comedy if you want to get good at comedy. You have to go and perform comedy if you want to get good at comedy. I want to get good at day trading. You have to practice at day trading if you want to get good at that. You have to read about it. You have to learn about it. You have to rewatch it. Then it's 5 p.m. It's dinner time. Then you got to go spend an hour with your kid before he goes to bed. Then you got to spend an hour with your wife before she goes to bed. Then you got 25 minutes to do your meditation before you go to bed. Then you wake up, repeat. How do I learn about all these conspiracies and actually progress my life to a point where I'm happy that it's become? That didn't make sense, but you knew I was on the rant. How do you manage time? There's so many different ways to manage time as well, but you could commit. I heard Alex Jones talk about this. He was on Joe Rogan a while ago, and he was like, Joe Rogan, I'm going to die by the time I'm 51 years old. I'm so stressed, Joe. I can't sleep. I can't sleep. My heart beats. Sometimes I notice my heart hasn't beat for a minute and a half. I think, oh no, I live on liquor. I live on alcohol. Joe, my heart just stopped again. And then you go, well, that doesn't sound like a healthy thing. This guy's committing all his time, all his effort, all his energy to studying conspiracy theories. But most of them turn out to be true, I'm pretty sure. But then the thing is, it's like, all right, well, do I commit all my time to conspiracy theories and learning about them, only to find out that what I'm so stressed might be true is true? And then my health gets to a point where, well, okay, it's 9 p.m. I've got to go to bed. How on earth am I going to invest in my health and fitness? Like, there's just no more time in the day. It doesn't matter how efficient you are with your time. If you overcommit, you overcommit. Like, if you're spending 24 hours a day studying the stock market, then that leaves 0 hours a day to be able to look into conspiracy theories. Or if you're doing 23 hours a day of conspiracy theories, that leaves 1 hour a day for family or sleep or food or exercise. Like, something has to give. So people always say, Tosh, you need to expand your mind a little bit, man. Like, yeah, all these conspiracy theories, they sound ridiculous to you, but it's only because you haven't looked into it. I haven't looked into it because, Like, I'm trying to take care of my family, I'm trying to take care of my fitness, trying to take care of my diet. Like, there's just, like, you tell me, where do I put the extra time in my day? I don't know. I'm honestly open to finding out, but just right now, it's hard to know. And then someone messages me, said, hey, Tice, I just noticed you hadn't responded to my email. I was like, oh, what am I supposed to do? I'm trying to cook quinoa salad. I'm trying to cook quinoa. I've got 45 minutes left to do my own thing. I'm trying to cook quinoa. How am I going to respond to your message? I don't know. And then you got to try and look into things like GoFundMe. Did you see GoFundMe had $10 million raised for the Canadian trackers? And then they were like, all right, it's time to hand it over. And GoFundMe's like, nah, I'm going to keep it. No, but $10 million was raised, like 147,000 people raised $10 million to give to the truckers. Now you have to do it. And they go, oh. But what if I give it to a charity? Wait, what? Is this a legitimate conversation? Like 147,000 people have just donated their hard-earned money. You got $10 million in your account. You have to give it to them. They go, nah, because I don't want to give it to them. we don't want to give it to them. And then you turn on mainstream news and they're trying to tell you that the truckers are the problem. The truckers are the ones who are causing all the controversy. Like, but these guys have stole $10 million. And now I'm frustrated. And then and you're considered the crazy one if you question it. You can't use GoFundMe again after that, can you? Like, because if you're giving money to a cause that you're not convinced they're going to give to the cause of which you're giving that money to the cause for, like, how do you confidently donate money? Because next time I say, hey, this money's to be raised for kids with cancer, what if they realise in the next couple of years kids with cancer aren't a real priority, that you can't just not give them? Like, isn't that illegal? Isn't it illegal to raise $10 million on a thing called GoFundMe? The whole premise of your platform is to raise money for causes that the public believe in. You can't just come out last minute and go, sorry about the confusion, but we don't give money to that cause. In fact, that's one of the causes we definitely don't give money to. You can see why platforms like Facebook go through their little crashes. Did you see? I think we're down 28% at Facebook this week, and this sounds horrible. I'm not the kind. I don't want to wish bad upon anyone. But when you realize the shenanigans, when you realize the kind of stuff that Facebook get up to when it comes to your private data, I advertise on Facebook. So just as full context, I'm a complete hypocrite with this because I think I'm part of the problem. I think I give money to them to mine your data to advertise my products to, so that you buy what it is that I'm trying to sell. So yeah, maybe I shouldn't wish this too hard, because in fact I've just realised that the company that I'm sort of celebrating the demise of is a company that's helped me significantly. And so this is where the lines get blurry, isn't it? Because the lines get blurry because I go, okay, well, they're a dodgy company that deserve what they've had coming to them. And then you go, yeah, but Tice, didn't you tell me you Facebook advertise? I go, yeah, but I don't really know how that contributes to it. And you go, well, because, mate, you're paying the company to do the thing that you don't like that they're doing. And I'll say, no, wait, what are you trying to talk about? Don't try and mince my words. I go, and you go, no, I'm not mincing your words. I'm just saying that the money that these guys get from you that makes them so big helps them further mine my data so that your advertisements can be more specifically placed. I go, oh, sorry, I didn't know that. But $230 billion, I think, is the number that Facebook has lost this week. And I thought, oh, surely they're just going to bounce back up. And I was reading about this the other day because Facebook, they I think the first time in 18 years they've reported. Let me just find out. I'm going to Google search this. Facebook. Let's find out together. Come over here. Facebook price. Facebook news. Let's just go Facebook news. So Facebook market cap falls below 600 billion. Facebook falls behind Nvidia market cap. All right. Married at first sight, Andrew Davis listed on Facebook Marketplace as a vintage American tool. Okay, I haven't been watching Married at First Sight as much as my wife, but I like that guy. What's going on there? Facebook falls behind Nvidia. I'm not sure what the deal with that comparison is. Let's just find find out what's going on here. So Facebook falls behind Nvidia. What is that in market cap, and is now 8th most valuable US company? Facebook parent Meta has tumbled 35% since the start. 35%, so it was down 26% when I saw it the other day, since the start of 2022, with most of that drop occurring after last week's disappointing earnings report. The company is now worth less than $600 billion, which is still insane, and has fallen behind Nvidia in terms of market cap. Facebook parent Meta continues its slide on Tuesday and has now dropped as much as the past week, so much in the past week that the company is worth less than chip maker, Nvidia. Meta shares dropped 2.1%, closed at 220.18. The stock is down 35% this year and is trading at its lowest price since July 2020. Not long ago, Facebook was among 5 most valuable US companies alongside big tech peers Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Alphabet. However, Meta has fallen 8th below Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway, and now for the first time Nvidia. On Tuesday, Meta's market cap dropped to $599 billion, while Nvidia, what is Nvidia? Is that like an affiliate company? Why do they keep mentioning that? Closed at $627 billion. Visa is next at $478 billion. So we're still dealing with some pretty big numbers. And it's hard to imagine a company like Facebook isn't just going to bounce back fairly quickly because, I know they've been up to some shenanigans the last couple of years, and I think I guess the public trust of this company has dropped significantly. Well, that's what the share market is, isn't it? Like pretty much a public's take on what they think a stock is actually worth. And at the moment, they've pretty much told it to get stuffed. But anyway, I felt as though the other day when I saw that it dropped 26%, I was like, if I was a good trader, I would get in here right now and I would buy that because this is just clearly a dip and then it's going to bounce back any moment and I'm going to make heaps of money. And then the next day it fell like another 5%. I was like, that's why I'm not a good trader. This is why I'm playing with very tiny accounts because I would have just lost my whole account had I invested in that particular stock. But anyway, Facebook sounds as though they've had their troubles. Do you guys still trust them? I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. Surely big tech has to change a little bit, especially when you see how much they censor information. I don't know exactly how I feel. Anyway, who cares what I think? That's the truth. Who cares what I think about Facebook? Because they're still worth $599 billion. And this morning I lost $4 on the stock market, and that was a stressful day. So clearly I'm not the right bloke to be taking advice from. You know who you should take advice from? Andy Anderson. He's a bloke that me and my boy Charlie have been watching on the computer this week. Andy Anderson's like a 25-year-old LA skater. Man, if you've got nothing to do this afternoon for an hour, jump on your computer, put in the name Andy Anderson, and just watch what this kid can do on a skateboard. It is mind-blowing. He goes past buskers, like these guys playing a little bit of music, and then he'll just start busting out some weird dance on a skateboard, and it's so insane. And then you see him on a bowl with a skateboard which is too big, a helmet which doesn't fit, doing tricks which no human should be able to do, and you go, okay, hang on a second, this guy is who we should be investing in. Not Facebook. Don't worry about old Zucker. Let's invest in Andy Anderson, because he lives in a gutted ambulance. That's not why you should invest in the bloke. I mean, he's doing that not because he's financially struggling. I'm pretty sure the skate brands have looked after him. I imagine so. Based on what he's doing, some of the brands that he's affiliated with, he seems as though he's doing okay. But that's it, Andy Anderson. I'm going down to Melbourne tonight for the first time since last week to hopefully redeem for an atrocious bomb that took place in the, in the Funny Near the Bunny. I get in this real bad habit as well when I'm bombing to point it out. Like I point it out. If you point it out once, it's sort of funny. But if you point it out 7 times, everyone just starts to feel sorry for you, and it's not as fun. It just really zaps the vibe of the room. People start to go, oh, why is he... Like, it was funny that you pointed it out once, but why have you pointed it out 7 times that you recognise that you're bombing? Because now it's just getting quite awkward. So I'm going down to a little bar. I don't even know that it's dedicated solely to comedy. I think it's for like comedians and also musicians. So it's got disaster written all over it. It doesn't sound like a place where heroes are made, but that is where heroes are made. It's exactly where heroes are made. I'm going down to make myself a hero. Hopefully, or just, go on a 2-hour a 2-hour drive to bomb, to return on a 2-hour drive home to think about how much that wasn't worth it. And we'll try again tomorrow. 2 gigs lined up for the next 2 days, maybe even 3. I I've got a couple of little dates coming up that I might put out in the on the socials in case you want to come and check it out. Because comedy's thick in the air of Melbourne at the moment. Well, getting there because Melbourne Comedy Festival is coming up in a couple of months. So, the comedy vibe in this state starts to pick up. But anyway, that's enough from me. I've been talking to you for an hour. I've got to go get myself organised. Go down to this little comedy room, tell some funny jokes. You guys enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you all here next week.